Did you know the Dutch are ranked among the happiest people on earth? And it's not because they spend lavishly. In fact, their secret lies in simple, frugal habits that bring both joy and financial freedom. Imagine living a life where you save money, reduce stress, and feel more connected to what truly matters, all while staying happy after 60. In this video, we'll reveal 10 frugal Dutch habits that seniors worldwide are adopting to simplify life and boost happiness. Stay tuned, because tip number 7 might completely change how you look at everyday spending. Meet Helen, a 68-year-old grandmother who once felt like her finances were slipping through her fingers. As a retired librarian, Helen always lived modestly, but over time, she found herself overwhelmed by rising expenses, cluttered spaces, and the constant pressure to keep up with modern life. Her savings were dwindling, and she felt weighed down by the stress of overspending on things she didn't truly need. Then, Helen stumbled upon the concept of Dutch frugality. She was skeptical at first, but decided to try just one habit. To her surprise, that small change made her feel more in control of her life, and she didn't stop there. She slowly adopted more of these practical habits, transforming her financial struggles into savings, her cluttered home into a peaceful haven, and her days into moments filled with joy and meaning. Today, Helen has not only saved more money than she ever imagined, but also feels happier and more connected to her loved ones. And the best part? She says it all started with one simple mindset shift. If Helen's story resonates with you, stick around to learn how these 10 Dutch habits can simplify your life too. And if you're finding this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more life-changing tips to help you thrive after 60. Habit 1. Bike everywhere. One of the most iconic Dutch habits is biking everywhere. For them, it's not just a mode of transportation, it's a way of life. Imagine a culture where you don't need a car for every little errand, and instead you hop on a bike to get where you need to go. Not only does this save money on fuel, maintenance and insurance, but it also improves your physical health and mental well-being. Take Margaret, for example. She's 67 and lives just a mile away from her local grocery store. She used to drive there every week, spending money on gas and often feeling frustrated with traffic and parking. But after learning about the Dutch way of biking, Margaret decided to give it a try. She purchased a second-hand bike from a local shop for less than the cost of a single tank of gas. At first, she worried it might be too much effort, but she quickly realized how enjoyable it was. The fresh air, the slight breeze on her face, and the sense of accomplishment after a short ride were all invigorating. Within a few weeks, Margaret noticed that she was spending less on gas and even felt stronger and more energetic. What she didn't expect was how much she'd start looking forward to these trips. They became moments of peace and reflection in her day. And it's not just about short trips. Biking is also a fantastic way to explore your surroundings. Whether it's a nearby park, a friend's house, or a scenic trail, hopping on a bike can turn ordinary outings into mini adventures. Plus, the health benefits are undeniable. Biking strengthens your muscles, improves cardiovascular health, and even boosts your mood. So why not give it a try? You don't need to splurge on a fancy bike. Start with something simple, even second-hand, just like Margaret did. You might find that it's not only a practical way to save money, but also an enjoyable habit that brings unexpected joy to your daily routine. Do you use a bike to get around, or have you thought about trying it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your experience. And remember, even small changes like this can make a big difference over time. Stay tuned, because the next Dutch habit is one you'll definitely want to try. Habit 2. Embrace second-hand shopping. The Dutch are masters of finding value in things others might overlook, and one of their favourite habits is embracing second-hand shopping. Thrift stores, flea markets, and online marketplaces are a treasure trove for anyone looking to save money while adding character and charm to their home or wardrobe. For the Dutch, second-hand shopping isn't just about saving money, it's also a sustainable way to live and a chance to find truly unique items. Margaret, who we met earlier, discovered this firsthand when she decided to redecorate her living room. Instead of heading to an expensive furniture store, she explored a local thrift shop and was amazed at what she found. A sturdy coffee table for less than $20, a vintage lamp with a timeless design, and even a cozy armchair that just needed a little cleaning, all for a fraction of what she would have paid for new items. At first she worried second-hand might mean low quality, but to her surprise, many of the pieces were in excellent condition. In fact, some of them had more charm and personality than the mass-produced items she'd seen in stores. Within weeks, Margaret had transformed her living room into a space she loved, all while spending just a small portion of her budget. The Dutch mindset around second-hand shopping is simple. Why pay full price for something new when you can find what you need, often with better quality, for less? They also use online platforms to buy and sell items, keeping things out of landfills and ensuring everything finds a second home. This habit extends beyond furniture. Clothing, kitchenware, and even tools are commonly bought second-hand, making it a practical way to save money and reduce waste. For seniors, second-hand shopping can be particularly rewarding. It's not just about saving money. It's also a chance to find items that remind you of cherished memories, like a vintage tea set similar to one you had years ago, or a classic book you loved in your youth. Have you ever tried second-hand shopping? What's the best bargain you've found? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of bargains, wait until you hear what the Dutch do with food. It's a habit that will change how you think about waste and saving money. Stay tuned. Habit 3. Cook at home. One of the simplest yet most effective habits the Dutch swear by is cooking at home. It's no surprise when you consider how expensive dining out can get and how easy it is to fall into the habit of grabbing takeout or eating out several times a week. But the Dutch know that cooking at home not only saves money, but is also a healthier, more fulfilling way to eat. And the best part? It doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. Margaret, once a frequent visitor of local diners and restaurants, decided to take a closer look at her spending habits and realized that a significant chunk of her budget was going toward meals outside her home. She loved the convenience, but after a while she noticed that her health wasn't improving as she had hoped, and her wallet was feeling the strain. Inspired by the Dutch practice of preparing simple, hearty meals at home, Margaret decided to start cooking more. She turned to Dutch-inspired recipes, focusing on easy-to-make soups and stews. These meals not only satisfied her hunger, but also offered nutritional benefits and left her feeling more energized. For example, Margaret began making erwtensoep, a traditional Dutch split-pea soup, which is both filling and inexpensive to prepare. She added in fresh vegetables, some smoked sausage, and a handful of herbs, ingredients that were affordable and nutritious. The best part? She made enough for several meals, saving her time and money while still enjoying a hearty dish for days to come. Margaret also explored other Dutch classics like stampot, a comforting dish made from mashed potatoes and vegetables, often paired with a sausage or meat. These meals became a staple in her weekly routine, not just because they were cost-effective, but because they were also packed with flavour and warmth, perfect for her post-retirement lifestyle. By cooking at home, Margaret discovered that she was saving hundreds of dollars every month. She no longer felt the need to splurge on expensive restaurant meals, and she was able to control the ingredients going into her food, making healthier choices. She also found joy in the process of cooking, taking the time to experiment with new recipes and flavors. Over time, her kitchen became a place of creativity, and cooking went from a chore to an activity she genuinely looked forward to. But cooking at home is about more than just saving money. It's about connecting with the food you eat and embracing the process. It's about knowing exactly what's going into your meals and taking pride in preparing them. Plus, there's something special about sharing a home-cooked meal with loved ones, whether it's family, friends, or neighbors. What's your favorite home-cooked meal? Do you have any go-to recipes that are both affordable and delicious? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Cooking at home not only saves money and improves your health, but also brings a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. Stay tuned, because in just a moment we'll reveal another Dutch habit that might surprise you and help you make even more money-saving choices. Habit 4. community sharing. One of the most heartwarming and effective Dutch habits is the practice of community sharing. In the Netherlands, neighbours often come together to lend and borrow items like tools, appliances, and even garden equipment, all in the spirit of reducing costs, minimising waste, and strengthening community bonds. This sense of shared responsibility not only saves money but also fosters connections among people. A valuable asset, especially after 60, when the need for social interaction and support becomes even more important. Margaret, having already embraced biking and cooking at home, decided to dive deeper into this practice. She had been eyeing a new drill for a small home improvement project but hesitated because it was pricey and realistically something she might only need a few times a year. That's when she remembered hearing about a local tool library in her neighbourhood, where people could borrow equipment for free or for a very small fee. Curious, Margaret joined the community group and was amazed by the variety of tools available. From power drills to lawn mowers, gardening tools to kitchen appliances, she realized that the amount of money she could save by borrowing these items instead of purchasing them would be significant. And the best part? It wasn't just about the tools. It was about being part of a community that values sharing and looking out for one another. Margaret felt a new sense of connection, knowing that her neighbours were there to help, and she could offer her own items in return. For example, when Margaret needed a ladder to clean her gutters, she simply borrowed one from a neighbour in the group, saving her the cost of renting or buying one. When her blender broke, instead of rushing out to replace it, she checked with the sharing group and found someone who was happy to lend her theirs for as long as she needed. These small but significant savings added up quickly. Not only did this practice help Margaret save money, but it also allowed her to live more sustainably. By borrowing instead of buying, she was reducing consumption, which in turn helped reduce waste. In the Dutch culture, this approach to borrowing and sharing is also seen as an eco-friendly choice, as it minimises the demand for new products and promotes the idea of sharing economy living. The benefits go beyond finances too. Community sharing creates a support network that can be incredibly valuable, especially as we age. If something breaks or needs repair, it's reassuring to know you can rely on your neighbours to pitch in. It fosters a sense of camaraderie and reminds us that even as we grow older, we don't have to do everything alone. If you're thinking about how you could implement this in your own life, consider starting small. Perhaps you could join a neighbourhood group or even start your own. You might find that there are already people near you who are happy to lend or borrow tools, books, or kitchen gadgets. Not only will this save you money, but it will also deepen your connection to your community. Have you ever borrowed or shared anything with your neighbours? Or perhaps you've started a community sharing group yourself? Share your thoughts and experiences with us in the comments below. We'd love to hear how sharing has helped you. Habit 5. Minimalist living. One of the most impactful Dutch habits is minimalist living, embracing simplicity, decluttering, and focusing on the essentials. The Dutch have long understood that owning fewer things can actually lead to a more fulfilling, stress-free life. This lifestyle isn't about depriving yourself, it's about finding joy and contentment in less. The Dutch believe that by decluttering your home and life, you create space for what truly matters, whether it's your health, relationships, or personal growth. Margaret, after seeing how biking, second-hand shopping, and cooking at home had positively impacted her life, decided to take it one step further. She realized that her house was filled with items she didn't need or use anymore, old furniture, clothes she hadn't worn in years, and gadgets that had long been replaced with better versions cluttered her space. This unnecessary accumulation was causing her stress and making it harder to maintain a peaceful, organized home. Inspired by the minimalist mindset, Margaret began decluttering her home. She started with the attic, sorting through boxes of old clothes, books and furniture she no longer used. What she found surprised her. She had accumulated things over the years that were not only taking up valuable space, but also weighing her down emotionally. She had a sense of attachment to certain items because of sentimental value. But as she began letting go, she realized how much freer she felt. As Margaret continued to declutter, she started selling the items she no longer needed. She posted gently used furniture, clothes, and knickknacks on local online marketplaces, and in just a few weeks, she made over $300. That extra income wasn't just a bonus, it also gave her the sense of accomplishment that comes with freeing herself from excess. By simplifying her environment, she felt lighter and more in control of her life. The beauty of minimalist living is that it's not about buying trendy new furniture or adopting a particular aesthetic. It's about making intentional decisions about what truly adds value to your life. Margaret didn't need to be surrounded by things to feel fulfilled. Instead, she learned that fewer possessions meant more mental clarity and time to focus on what really mattered, like spending time with loved ones, practicing her hobbies, or enjoying nature. For seniors, embracing a minimalist lifestyle can also ease the burden of managing an accumulation of belongings. It's easier to maintain a clean, organized home when there's less to take care of, which is particularly helpful as we age and may need to downsize or move to a smaller living space. Minimalism also promotes mental well-being, as it encourages you to focus on the present moment and let go of the clutter, both physical and emotional, that can hold you back. Have you ever tried decluttering or downsizing? How did it impact your life? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear how living with less has helped you find more joy. Up next, we're going to dive into a Dutch habit that is all about taking care of your health and wellness without spending a fortune. Habit 6. Budget-friendly celebrations. One of the most joyful Dutch habits is how they celebrate life's special moments without breaking the bank. The Dutch know that celebrations don't have to be extravagant to be meaningful. In fact, keeping things simple often allows for deeper connections and a more authentic experience. Whether it's a birthday, a holiday, or a family gathering, the Dutch focus on what truly matters, spending time together and making memories rather than spending a fortune on lavish parties. Margaret, after embracing many of the frugal habits she learned from the Dutch, wanted to throw a special birthday celebration for her friends, but didn't want to go overboard on spending. She had seen how the Dutch often host potlucks, where guests bring a dish to share, turning the gathering into a warm, communal experience. Margaret decided to host her own potluck birthday party, and was pleasantly surprised by how enjoyable it turned out to be. Instead of spending money on expensive decorations, catering, or a fancy venue, Margaret focused on creating a cozy atmosphere. She asked her friends to bring their favorite dish to share, making sure to include a variety of foods that catered to different tastes and dietary needs. The result? A diverse spread of home-cooked meals that everyone enjoyed. Not only did this save her a lot of money, but it also allowed her guests to contribute to the celebration, making them feel involved and valued. What made the celebration truly special wasn't the food or the decorations, it was the feeling of togetherness. Everyone shared stories, laughter and memories, and the simple act of gathering in a relaxed, welcoming space created an unforgettable experience. Margaret didn't have to spend a lot to host a meaningful event, and her friends appreciated the thoughtful, inclusive nature of the gathering. The Dutch have a beautiful tradition of celebrating with intention. Instead of buying costly gifts or hosting large-scale events, they focus on what brings them joy, connecting with others and celebrating in a way that doesn't stress their finances. For seniors, hosting budget-friendly celebrations can be a wonderful way to stay social without the pressure of overspending. It also allows for more frequent gatherings, as it's easier to host a potluck or small get-together than an extravagant dinner party. Have you ever hosted a celebration on a budget? How did you keep things meaningful without overspending? Share your tips in the comments below. We'd love to hear how you make the most of your special occasions without breaking the bank. Habit 7. Repair instead of replace. In the Netherlands, there's a deeply ingrained value of repairing instead of replacing. When something breaks, the first instinct isn't to throw it away or buy a new one. Instead, the Dutch often take the time to fix it, whether it's clothing, furniture, or even small appliances. This mindset not only saves money but also promotes sustainability and a sense of accomplishment. It's a way of life that encourages resourcefulness, creativity, and the belief that value can often be restored, even in the most unexpected places. For Margaret, this habit began when she noticed her favourite jacket had a tear in the sleeve. Her first thought was to toss it out and buy a new one. However, remembering the Dutch approach to repairing, she decided to give it a try. She watched a few online tutorials and, with a little patience, managed to stitch up the tear herself. To her surprise, it wasn't just a cost-saving move. It gave her a sense of pride to know she could extend the life of her beloved jacket. It was no longer just a piece of clothing, it was something she had personally repaired, and that made it even more meaningful. Encouraged by her success, Margaret began to look at other things in her home with a new perspective. Her toaster, which had been acting up for months, was next on her list. Instead of immediately replacing it, Margaret Googled the issue and discovered that it was a simple problem with the heating element. She ordered a replacement part for only $5, watched a video on how to replace it, and soon had a working toaster again. The satisfaction she felt from fixing the appliance herself was invaluable and the savings incredible. Rather than spending $30 on a new toaster, she had spent less than $10 on parts and materials. This repair over replace mentality is one of the key pillars of Dutch frugality, and it has major benefits for seniors. As we age, our income may not grow as it once did, but our desire to live comfortably and sustainably doesn't change. Instead of constantly purchasing new items, repairing what we already own can significantly reduce our expenses and help maintain a sense of independence. Plus, it can be quite empowering to know you have the skills to fix things yourself, rather than relying on someone else or spending money to have an item replaced. Margaret also learned to repair other small household items, like a leaky faucet and a pair of her favourite shoes. Each time she found that the process was less intimidating and more rewarding than she had initially thought. She realised that she didn't need to rely on expensive repair services or replacements, and by keeping her possessions in good shape, she was extending their useful life. The Dutch also encouraged sharing repair tips within communities. Margaret joined a local online group where people shared DIY repair guides for everything from fixing electronics to mending furniture. She was able to swap tips with others and even borrow specialised tools she didn't have, further reducing her costs. This sense of community and resourcefulness is something the Dutch are known for, and it's an incredibly valuable asset for seniors looking to stretch their budgets and stay independent. Have you ever repaired something instead of replacing it? Whether it's fixing a piece of furniture or mending clothes, we'd love to hear your DIY success stories in the comments below. Habit 8. Frugal travel. Travelling on a budget is another area where the Dutch excel. While many people dream of expensive international vacations, the Dutch know that you don't have to travel far to experience new places and create unforgettable memories. In fact, they've mastered the art of frugal travel, using creative and budget-friendly methods to explore both locally and abroad. Instead of spending a fortune on pricey flights or hotels, the Dutch often opt for simpler, more affordable travel options that still offer plenty of adventure and enjoyment. For Margaret, this frugal travel mindset completely changed her approach to vacations. After years of taking costly trips that left her financially drained, she decided to try something different, exploring the beauty that was closer to home. Inspired by the Dutch love for local travel, Margaret began to plan weekend getaways to nearby countryside destinations. These trips not only saved her money, but they also allowed her to experience parts of her region she had never visited before. One of her most memorable trips was to a charming little village just an hour away. Instead of booking an expensive hotel, she found a cosy bed and breakfast run by a local couple. They offered discounts for longer stays, so Margaret took advantage of the deal and stayed for 3 nights. The experience was enriching. She spent her days walking through the picturesque landscape, visiting local farms and enjoying fresh homemade food. Margaret realized that she didn't have to fly halfway around the world to have an enriching, memorable vacation. In addition to staying closer to home, Margaret discovered that the Dutch often make use of discounts, public transportation, and even staycations to save money. During her trips, she used local bus and train services to get around, which were much more affordable than renting a car or taking taxis. The Dutch are also known for using discount travel cards that offer significant savings on public transportation, making travel even more cost-effective. Another benefit of frugal travel is that it allows seniors to travel more often. By keeping costs low, Margaret could enjoy multiple short trips throughout the year rather than saving up for one expensive vacation. This approach not only boosted her happiness, but also gave her a sense of freedom and adventure that she hadn't experienced in years. Traveling on a budget is a wonderful way to stay active and engaged with the world around you. Whether it's a weekend getaway, a day trip to a nearby city, or a staycation in your own town, there are countless ways to explore without spending a fortune. The Dutch approach to travel isn't about deprivation. It's about finding joy in simplicity and making the most of what's available. Have you ever taken a budget-friendly trip or explored your local area instead of booking an expensive vacation? Let us know in the comments. Maybe you'll inspire others to embrace frugal travel too. Stick around, because in the next section we're going to dive into the Dutch approach to self-sufficiency and why it's one of the best habits to embrace after 60. Habit 9. Gardening. Gardening is not just a hobby in the Netherlands, it's a way of life. The Dutch have long embraced the idea of growing their own food, and it's a practice that has helped many save money while promoting sustainability and a deeper connection to nature. Whether it's herbs, vegetables, or even flowers, the Dutch know that growing your own food not only provides fresh, healthy ingredients, but also offers a sense of accomplishment and peace. For Margaret, adopting this frugal habit was a game-changer. Living in a small house with a modest backyard, she never imagined she could grow much of her own food. But after learning about the Dutch tradition of home gardening, she decided to start small. She began by planting a few herbs like basil, thyme and rosemary in pots on her back porch. To her surprise, the herbs thrived, and she found herself using them in her daily cooking, adding flavor to her meals, without having to spend money on expensive store-bought herbs. Encouraged by her success, Margaret expanded her gardening efforts. She added a small vegetable garden with tomatoes, lettuce and carrots. The cost of seeds was minimal, and she was amazed at how much food she was able to grow. In the spring and summer, she would harvest fresh vegetables from her garden, and in the fall, she preserved the surplus by canning or freezing it for the colder months. This not only saved her money on groceries, but also ensured that she had fresh, healthy food available year-round. Gardening, as the Dutch know, is about more than just cutting down on food costs. It's also about promoting sustainability, reducing food waste, and taking control of what you consume. Growing her own food gave Margaret a sense of independence and accomplishment, knowing that she was feeding herself with ingredients she had grown herself. It also allowed her to live more sustainably by reducing her reliance on store-bought produce, much of which comes with packaging and a significant carbon footprint. For seniors, gardening can be a wonderful way to stay active and connected to nature. It doesn't require a lot of space to get started. Many people grow herbs and vegetables in small containers on a balcony, porch or windowsill. Gardening can be a soothing, low-impact activity that provides not only fresh food but also a sense of purpose and satisfaction. Plus, it's an excellent way to spend time outdoors and enjoy the sunshine, which can improve overall well-being. Have you ever tried gardening or growing your own food? What are your favorite things to plant? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear how gardening has helped you save money and improve your quality of life. Habit 10. Focus on experiences over things. One of the most powerful frugal habits the Dutch embrace is focusing on experiences rather than accumulating material possessions. In a world where consumerism often pushes us to buy more, the Dutch have learned that the best memories come from shared moments, not things. Prioritizing experiences over material possessions has not only helped them live more frugally, but also led to a richer, more fulfilling life. For Margaret, this mindset shift had a profound impact on her happiness and well-being. As she entered her 60s, she began to realize that the joy she once found in buying things, whether it was the latest gadget or trendy clothing, no longer brought her the same fulfillment. Instead, she found herself craving deeper connections and more meaningful experiences. Inspired by the Dutch, Margaret decided to change her approach to how she spent her time and money. Rather than purchasing expensive toys for her grandchildren, Margaret started hosting weekly game nights at her home. Every Friday evening, she would invite her grandchildren over for a few hours of fun, laughter and bonding. They would play board games, tell stories and share a simple homemade meal together. The best part? It didn't cost her much at all. Instead of focusing on buying material gifts, Margaret gave her family the gift of her time, and in return, she received priceless memories and a sense of joy that was far more valuable than any item she could have bought. Margaret quickly realized that these game nights weren't just about saving money, they were about creating lasting connections. Over time, her family began to look forward to their time together, and the love they shared grew stronger. Margaret also started spending more time with friends, hosting potluck dinners and taking part in local community events. Instead of filling her life with things, she filled it with meaningful experiences that brought her happiness and a deeper sense of purpose. The Dutch focus on experiences over things is not just about frugality, it's about living with intention. By investing in experiences, seniors can create memories that will last a lifetime, strengthening relationships and adding more joy to their lives. Whether it's spending time with family, volunteering or pursuing a passion, experiences have a unique way of enriching our lives in ways that material possessions simply cannot. Have you ever experienced the joy of prioritizing time with loved ones over buying material things? We'd love to hear your stories in the comments. Sharing experiences can inspire others to focus on what truly matters. By embracing these Dutch habits, Margaret was able to completely transform her life. She saved money, simplified her routine, and discovered a deeper sense of joy in the little things. Biking everywhere improved her health while cutting transportation costs. Shopping second-hand gave her unique, affordable finds and reduced waste. Cooking at home allowed her to save money and eat healthier. Joining a community sharing group helped her avoid unnecessary purchases. Embracing minimalism freed her from clutter, both physically and mentally. Hosting budget-friendly celebrations brought her closer to loved ones without breaking the bank. Repairing instead of replacing items saved her money and gave her a sense of accomplishment. Traveling frugally brought new adventures without the high costs. Gardening not only reduced her grocery bill, but also connected her to nature. Finally, focusing on experiences over material possessions helped her cultivate meaningful relationships and create lasting memories. Through these simple, frugal habits, Margaret found peace, happiness, and a more fulfilling life. If these tips inspired you, share this video with someone who could benefit from a simpler, more fulfilling lifestyle. Don't forget to hit that like button.